All right. Okay, Ben, why don't you take it away, our fearless leader?
Hey everybody, this is so cool. Pam had mentioned that there was 89 folks that registered to join us today, and if we could get half of those people to show up today would be awesome. And it looks like we got about half of the people here. So thank you all so much for coming. This is very, very cool that we can gather together like this, virtually from wherever we're at, from home or work or whatever it might be, and we can get together and we can talk today about the important work of seed libraries. I'm going to drop right off the top in the chat. I'm going to put a link to this article that Pam has sent me that you should check out from The Guardian. And the topic of the article is based around seed companies, really, but it definitely relates to what we're doing here. The article discusses climate change and how the changing climate has impacted all of these seed companies' abilities to grow seed, to have seed for their customers. And they talk to a number of different seed companies all around the country, but a few right here in Michigan, and they get right into the struggles that these folks are having with the unpredictability of the weather, the drought, the rain. You guys know how it is. It's becoming more and more difficult to garden, most certainly, and that means it's even more difficult to get a seed harvest, right? Because those plants need to be out there even longer to have time to make seeds than they do if we're just having them for food. And although this article relates specifically to the commercial side of seed production, I think that it really has a lot to do with what we're doing as well. Even though at our seed libraries, of course, we're offering our seeds for free to our communities, the work that we are doing, that all of you are doing, is vital to ensuring that these communities have access to high quality, free seed so they can grow herbs and flowers and vegetables and native plants, whatever it might be that their heart desires that you're able to offer. Through your seed libraries, you're making it possible that folks can have access to the seeds, which then when they grow and save these seeds become adapted to our climates, adapted to this changing climate scenario that we're finding, these challenges that we have to face out in our gardens. And not only do you offer these folks seeds, but you're also offering these educational opportunities. We get to learn as seed librarians, we get to learn a lot more about how seeds are produced so we can share that with our communities. We get to make sure that they have access to these vegetables, to foods, how to prepare it, and you're building community. And I personally think that that's the most important part of what a seed library does. If you think about it, access to seeds and gardening education, that's great, right? But the communities that you're able to build around your seed libraries it's the most important part of the whole thing, right? Getting people to the libraries and getting them to learn from each other and spend time together. The Seed Library Summit that we're doing here, this is the fourth annual. This is the fourth year that we've been able to gather like this. And it's just such an awesome thing. And we were inspired to do something like this, to organize something like this through the National Seed Library Summit that they would often have at the Heirloom Expo at Baker Creek, where all the seed librarians that were able to would gather together annually, and we could talk about our successes, our challenges. We could share resources, we can learn from each other, just kind of have that camaraderie of just being together, understanding that we're all facing these same challenges together was really nice. And we thought, well, gosh, we should do something like this for the seed librarians in Michigan, and we didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we said, well, if we build it, they will come, right? And you have come out in full force. So many awesome seed libraries have come out, or people that are interested in learning about seed libraries have gathered together, and it's just such an awesome thing to see. I've recently reconnected with some of the folks that were organizing the National Seed Librarian Summit. Unfortunately, as we all know, we had to stop doing things in person, and that was one of the events that had to stop happening in person back in 2020. And although many things are coming back to in-person events, that Seed Summit has become a virtual event, which is still awesome. And all of us can gather, even more people can gather now than just those of us that can physically get out there, right? So it's very cool. And I recently connected with the organizers of the National Seed Library Summit, and they have decided to launch a new project that I'm going to be a part of that I'm very excited to share with all of you. We are putting together a national seed library census. We are going to connect with similar to, and I thought it was really interesting in the first meeting that they were using Michigan Seed Library Network as the model for what they want to do out there. So I thought that was pretty neat. And if you're not familiar, you can check out the Michigan Seed Library website. And maybe Pam could put that link down in there while I'm talking, and you guys can check that out, and you'll see the interactive map where all of your libraries are hopefully on that map. And if not, we'll talk about how to get you onto this map. but so people in the communities can find seed libraries near them, right? And this interactive map is really nice. Well, the folks on the national level were so impressed by what we've been able to create here in Michigan that they kind of want to replicate something like that for every state. So every state could have an organization much like what we have. So to get that started, what we're doing is a census. So we are finding representatives in every state at the seed library level, folks at every state, and we are going to try to build a national map of all the seed libraries in the whole country. Ultimately, their goal is to take this around the world and have a worldwide map, and that would be very awesome. But to get started, we're just going to start with the US because that's going to be a pretty challenging endeavor, I think, anyways, as it is. So what we need to do is get people that are interested in finding the seed libraries in their communities. And you guys are the model for how this is going to work, right? So if you're not on that seed library map that we have, that's Pam's putting out there, get yourself onto there. Pam's going to talk about that in a little bit, how you can get your form filled out so you can get onto the map. So we can just show the rest of the country how awesome Michigan is, right? So it's pretty cool to know that what we've been able to do here, just us, all of you all, is a model that the entire rest of the country is going to try to follow so they can do all of the awesome things that we did. Because at the end of the day, remember, it's all about building that community. And that's what we've done here. We've created a wonderful community of seed librarians, and we're going to try to grow that community all the way across the country. So that's super exciting. And I wanted to share that as kind of the opening thing here because you guys should all be patting yourselves on the back right now because what you guys are doing is just totally awesome for sure. All right, yep, there's the link. She just dropped it in there. So check that map when you have some time, save that link, see if your library is on that map. Hopefully you are already. And if not, you can fill out the form to get onto it. Because where are we at right now, Pam? How many seed libraries are on the map so far?
Oh, you just had to ask me that.
I
didn't you?
did.
Hang on. Go ahead and keep talking now.
Okay. Well, when Pam's going to get us a number here, you guys are going to be impressed because it's a lot. And nationwide, the best guess that we've been able to put together across the country, there's about 600 plus seed libraries that we are aware of that exist across the country. And once Pam tells you how many here are in Michigan, you're gonna need to take a seat because it's a very large chunk of what's going across the country. But the reason that I think our number is so high is not only because our librarians are the best, of course, but also because we've been able to build this network where we've been able to bring all the seed librarians together to share their information. I think that once we get out there and start digging around the country, we're going to find that there's way more seed libraries out there than we're even aware of, right? They're all over the place. It's in large communities, there's probably quite a few of them. In small communities, they're all over the place, right? So hopefully we can get folks together. So what I've been working on recently is organizing a list. I'm lucky to travel a lot to meet folks to talk about seeds. So I've got some seed library friends in a number of states. So I'm going to reach out to each one of them and hopefully bring them on as recruits for finding this census, to take the census around. So if any of you have connections to seed libraries in other states, I would love to have your help. If you could share your information with me, we can connect after the summit here. We can get together and I will give you the census information so that you can get it to these folks in these other states. Because like I said, there's way more of them than we realize. So we have to really ask everybody that we know. If you know anybody in another state with a seed library, I would like to connect with them so I can get the census to them because I know that in their state, they probably know somebody who knows somebody. We're all three people away from knowing everybody. Isn't that what they say? So that's the ultimate goal. So brainstorm a little bit, see if you can think of anybody in other states that you know that have a seed program, and please share that information with me. Did you get the number, Pam?
Yep, I did. It's
Here we
100.
go.
We've got 142, and then I have 4 applications that I haven't put on yet. I've been getting ready for this, and so I'll be getting to that early next week. So if there's any others, I can do them all at once. It's great. So if you have anybody else wants to be added, by all means submit the form, and I can get you all on at once.
So once you get those 4 on there, then that's going to be 146 seed libraries.
Yep,
Here in
I
Michigan.
think
That's the math, right?
Yep.
That's outrageous. That's so cool. So if we think about that, we know of 600 across the country, 146 of them are here in Michigan. You guys are the coolest people. That is just so awesome.
I just bet that our only competitor that's probably even close would be California, because they were and I know there's some in other states, but California has quite a few as well.
They do, and the folks that would organize this national summit were from California. So that's where a majority of their database is at. They have a lot of
Yeah.
the California seed libraries in their database already, but
I'm
outside
assuming,
of the state, they don't.
yeah, I'm assuming Rebecca is one of those
Yes.
people you talk to. She's from the Richmond Grows Seed Library in California, and when I started this seed library in 2013, there were about 3 seed libraries in the whole country, I swear. And I contacted all of them, and she was very helpful. And they had a website that was very helpful. So, there wasn't anything like what we have available at that time. And I just heard about seed libraries and go, what is this? What is this I keep hearing about? And our library is very small, and we were looking for things to do that didn't take a lot of room. And so, when I talked to my director, and she's like, go for it. And so here we are. And
The rest
it's
is
been
history.
great. It's been great. And I'm glad to say too, is that last year we had a phenomenal amount of donations. And I know that that's one of the big, I guess, I don't know if you call it a complaint, a concern, an obstacle, whatever, that a lot of seed libraries had. And it's literally taken me 10 years of, beating everybody over the head with, you've got to save seed, you've got to donate seed, we've got to make this library self-sustaining, or as much as we can. And I know they say that probably fewer than 15% of people actually return seeds. I think that's probably better in some areas and lower than others. But it is, if and I provide a lot of programming. We have been out probably at least once a year to talk, to inspire our people. But it's a lot of you have to keep at it, and you will see results if you keep providing programming and inspiration to people and information. It will pay off eventually.
Absolutely. And, so for part of the census, what we decided to do, our ultimate goal, of course, is just to find all the seed libraries and make it accessible for other people to find them too. But we decided if we're going to be taking the time to reach out to everybody, we've kind of developed a number of different questions that we're going to ask in the census. So of course, we're going to get all their contact information and that sort of thing. But we're also asking them about what percentage of their seeds are donated as opposed to purchased, or donated or returned from the community. I mean, local seeds versus donated seeds from seed companies. We're asking them about their programming, how often they offer programming, some of their best and most successful programs that they offer, just all sorts of different information, so we can kind of see what everybody's doing out there, so we can see some best case practices, so we can see what's really working for folks, and we can then model that for everybody else across the communities as well. If we see that a lot of people are struggling with the same types of things, which is what we see here in this network, as we get together and have these summits like this, we learn that our struggles are similar from one community to the next. And that way we can identify that and find a way to solve it together. And so we could try to do that same thing on a national level. So I'm really excited about it. We're going to start after the first of the year. We're trying to round up volunteers right now. We're going to hit the ground running after the first of the year for the census, and we're hoping to be able to start developing the map by the spring equinox. That's kind of our goal. So, it's a lofty goal because it's gonna be a lot of work. But if we can get, the more people we can get involved in taking the census out to their communities, I think that the more successful it's going to be. So again, I'm going to reiterate, if you know anybody anywhere outside of the state, please let me know so I can connect with them.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to add, when going back to the article in the Guardian, I think the closures that we experienced during COVID affected our seed libraries too. And it was very difficult for some of us, because basically, nobody could even get into their libraries to get to their seed. I kind of had to sneak in and grab it and take it out, or I snuck in and filled. I had taken, I had a form and I said, if anybody wants seeds, fill out this form, tell me what you want, I'll do my best. And so I got into the library one day when we were still closed and I filled up, don't report me to the feds or anything. But, and I processed everybody's orders and I put them in a bin outside and told people, go get them. And so, and that's how at the beginning, we served our community by doing that. And we couldn't get seeds. The seed companies were out of seeds. It was crazy. And I think that just kind of, it was kind of a dress rehearsal for the future. If something like that happens again, or if there's a worldwide seed shortage, which and as you look around the world, there's places that are torn up from war. They're losing their heritage seeds and their farmland. And if there's a seed library somewhere that's got that, that they might be able to, I guess, repatriate it back to them eventually. So it's sometimes I think we get caught up in our own little seed library, but you're really part of a bigger picture. You're part of a movement to help people become more self-sustaining and helping your seed library becoming self-sustaining. So that's just my 2 cents. And also, I don't think one thing. Oh, go ahead, Ben. You look like you were.
Oh, I was just going to kind of
profound.
reiterate what you were saying. No, I was just thinking about what you said. And, I've heard stories, you hear stories about like where there's one person that happened to have been saving these seeds and they had this variety that they thought was lost or whatever. And then they're able to revive it and bring it back and get it back out to the people just because one person had saved the seed or collected that seed. And those are super inspiring stories. But the seed libraries are doing that, I think, on an even grander scale, right? It increases the odds that we're going to be able to preserve these varieties by having these, they're like little seed banks almost in each one of these different communities of the seeds that the seed libraries are able to have to share. By doing that, we don't have to rely on just one individual person saving these seeds. There's whole communities saving these seeds, and it's housed right in the library. And I think that that's pretty powerful.
And for those of you who, I don't know if anyone isn't familiar with Bevan Cohen, he actually founded the Michigan Seed Library, and lured me in to help out at some point. And but he was I mean, I've known him for several years now and seen him turn what was kind of a little semi-part-time gig into a full-time job for himself. And he's nationally and internet, asked to speak all over the place now, not just in Michigan, but he's been all over the country and even outside of the country, I think a little bit. So, we have a precious resource here in our midst, with Mr. Cohen. So, I just wanted you all to, I think most of you are probably, familiar with him. But on the website, we do have a link to a presenter's showcase, whatever you want to call it, where I've tried to gather together as many presenters around the country, and Ben is around the state, and Ben is one of the ones that he's helped probably open countless seed libraries by being their first presenter. And kind of, the ribbon cutting sort of situation. So, and there's other speakers around, and I really am hoping that you can help me out if you know a speaker in this state. There's a form you can submit if you that's on that website. If you don't want to submit a form, you can just email me at any of the info@michiganseedlibrary.org or my work address, my home address. I don't care. Text me. I just I just want to fill out. I know there's more performers and presenters out there than we've got on that. And it's for the whole. It's statewide. It doesn't matter if you're in the UP or the down by Toledo. We everybody is looking for presenters. So just wanted to put that in there too.
Well, okay, I'm gonna have to say thanks for all that nice stuff you just said, Pam. But everybody should be applauding Pam because Pam does so much work behind the scenes to make all these things happen. I just come up with ideas. Pam makes it all happen.
You got to
She's
have an idea, man.
right, right. No, she is incredible. You guys are all incredible, but I just want to say, Pam is amazing. The stuff that she does to put these events together and the one seed, one state and all the stuff. Pam, hands down, is awesome. Yes, it's
Oh,
awesome
thank you, Ben.
for sure.
Oh.
But yeah, get some information out of that speakers bureau thing or whatever it is. Because for real, like having good programs and presentations is such an important thing for every library, but seed library specifically, right? Because that community engagement, that piece, bringing people into the library to help them understand what to do with the seeds, what to do with the vegetables, whatever it might be. It's so important to keep the community engaged because that's going to keep that seed library thriving. That's going to keep people checking out seeds, and hopefully in the end, it's going to get them returning seeds too. I think that in my experience, it seems to be a nice, hearty schedule of programming is something that you find in all of the most successful seed libraries.
I'm popping in to the chat the link to the presenters spreadsheet, and so you could take a look at it and see who's out there. We try to keep it updated as best we can. Some people people come and go, so if there's anybody that shouldn't be on the list, I need to know that too. Okay, doke. Get back up there.
So I did mention one seed, one state, Pam. Do you think that's a good transition?
I think that's a segue if I ever
think
heard
so.
one. Okay, so I'm going to hold on just a second. If it gets to the screen sharing, I'm a little bit clumsy, so. So yeah, we had to think long and hard about our okay, come on.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into choosing the seed for the one seed, one state. You know?
Thank you for keeping on talking while
and there's a lot that has to happen to make that work. We have to find a seed that obviously is affordable for us to get in bulk so we can distribute it. Pam's, I'm sure, going to share how many seeds got distributed last year. It's an impressive amount. We have to find something. We want to have something with the Michigan connection, right? So that's limiting in a way. We want to make sure that it's culturally relevant to what we're doing. A seed that's maybe relatively easy to save seeds from at the end of the year so people can practice their seed saving, so there's a lot of different requirements to go into choosing these seeds. So it's always really interesting to see how it turns out. And Pam's going to tell you all about probably some of our past ones as well.
I'm going to have to get my slideshow up here.
She's working on the slideshow.
I'm doing it. I'm trying.
Normally you're on the other side. You got somebody else that's putting the slideshow up, right?
No, I just have to make sure I'm getting the right. There we go. Every time I put the slide up, then it obliterates everything else. So I gotta. All right, there we go. Whoops. All my fooling around got me. Okay, so I guess if you're really so first of all, we're going to talk about one seed, one state. If there's anybody here who hasn't participated before, we kind of modeled it after the one book, one community, one seed, one state, or community reads, those types of things, where we were hoping that we could pick a seed every year, try to have it relevant to Michigan if possible. And everybody provides that seed to their patrons. They're in a seed library or a public library, and you don't have to have a seed library to participate. As long as you want to put the display in your library or a community organization. So we just thought it was kind of neat that if every year we had some sort of a thing we could join into and share seeds with ourselves and our patrons. So each library in the past has received a kit with seeds and packets and promotional materials. That has become kind of costly, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I've got that toward the end. But we make up a brochure that you can distribute to your people. And I actually clip or staple the seed packet inside the brochure because I want them to take the brochure, because people just like, oh, free seeds, and they don't really get the impact of what it is we're trying to do. We kind of leave it up to everybody if they want to collect statistics. Some libraries like to go, actually do more than, they'll buy their own seed and keep going with it, print out their own materials. So, we just let every library do their own thing. The seed we've picked for this year is dill, Mammoth Long Island dill. The connection to Michigan is that, well, I'll go into that in a minute, but many of you may not know that Michigan is the largest producer of pickling cucumbers in the United States. And so we thought we've already done cucumbers for One Seed, One State. So we thought we would do another essential part of that component and pick dill. Dill is really easy to grow. It's easy to save seeds from dill. And it's a great plant because you can use it at any stage. People use dill for microgreens. You can use it while it's young. You can use the flower heads when they're immature, and you can use the seeds. All of those things can be used in cooking and canning and pickling and flavoring salads and all kinds of dishes. Mammoth Long Island dill gets anywhere from 2 to 4 feet tall. You can use it at any stage, but the seed heads start to form in about 60, 70 days. It's a great attracting to pollinators. If you've ever grown dill, it's always the flowers are extremely popular with our pollinating bees and all wasps and things like that. And you may also know that the swallowtail butterfly lays its eggs on dill, and it's a host for their caterpillars. And every once in a while, you'll hear somebody say, well, the caterpillars ate all my dill. Well, just plant a lot of it. And then you've got plenty to share. But, it's kind of gratifying to know that you're helping out you're providing a host plant for a very beautiful butterfly that is native to Michigan. Dill grows easily in containers. It's a great companion plant for a lot of other plants, and it reseeds itself. And it reseeds itself all over my garden. I don't care. It's, I use it when it comes up. If I don't, it's easy to weed out if you don't use it. It doesn't have a long crawly, root that's going to, invade everything. But yeah, it's part of Michigan's great pickling heritage. As I mentioned, we've got in Michigan about 35,000 acres in production just of pickling cucumbers. And when, if you grow it, they will come. So starting in the late 1800s, Heinz, Vlasic, Aunt Jane's, a lot of these, some of them are kind of local and some are nationwide brands, but I'm sure Vlasic and Heinz we've all heard of. And, and even more recently, the Brinery, McClure's, Top Hat Pickles, a lot of those have come on the scene strong, especially in Michigan. So, it was just a natural progression that if you're going to be producing the number one producer, then there's going to be the companies are going to come in and want to do their canning. I grew up on the west side of the state, and there was a canning pickle company right in our town, employed a lot of people. And I remember my dad, my dad was grew up in farming. And so he would drive around and he'd always refer to them as pickles, never cucumbers. He always called them pickles. And it still kind of goes on today. My dad would say, there's a field of pickles. In my head, when I was little, I'd think about, the finished product. And I thought, oh, they just grow like that. But so anyway, so Vlasic, I did find a picture of the Vlasic canning plant back in the day during World War II. Like a lot of industries, the pickling industry had to, gasp, hire women to take over when the men went to war. And they also used prisoners of war to keep the canneries going. So there wasn't pickles continued to be available to people. I'm sorry, that was Heinz. And then Vlasic it started out as a creamery right in Detroit. And there, as we well know, there was a large Polish community in Detroit, in the Detroit area. So they started making their Polish dills were one of the first products that they made. So that's, I always thought that was an interesting little fact. Here's a past versions of this is what I do. These are my, this is the pickling cucumber we did a couple of years ago. We create the brochure. I stapled the seed packet inside of the brochure. You certainly don't have to do what I do. You can do your own thing however you want. And then I just took a box and made this little display thing for to set out. And and anyway, the cost of, as our group grew, and also like I said, there's seed libraries, and there's also people that don't have seed libraries, but also participate on Seed One State. So we were getting up into the, what was it, Ben? I think I told you the other was about 170 something people, or no, it was over 200. So we sending out a lot of these packets, and it's just, we really don't have an income source for the Michigan Seed Library Network. And so in order to keep going, everything's going, you're still going to get all the materials, but they're all going to be downloadable. We're going to send them in digital form. We can't, feasibly send out the whole packets to everybody anymore. And same with seed packets. We do have a little workshop later on packaging seed. I'll give you lots of ideas. In each library, we're going to give a good amount of seeds to every library. As it's been mentioned, I kind of do this by myself, and having to keep track of which libraries are getting 20 packets and which are getting 40 and which are getting 60. It's a cumbersome process. And so if everybody gets the same amount, and we'll try to make sure that's plenty for no matter what size library you are. Really large, or I shouldn't say really large libraries, but some seed libraries also will purchase extra seeds, so they can give out as many as they want, and that's always an option. We're going to be getting ours from True Leaf Market, who is also, how do you say it, Ben? Kitsikawa, that seed company.
Yeah, the Japanese, the Asian seeds, they own that company now. You're right.
Yeah, well, I think they folded in with True Leaf, and so they both are selling the seed at the same price. They're about the best price that we found on pretty much any seed. And we weren't able to get it donated. We need a lot of seed, so it's hard to find a company that just has 15 pounds of seed hanging around in their back room that they don't need. So we're definitely purchasing the seed. And so if for some reason the changes of having to print out your own materials, if it's too much, and you can't, it's a barrier to you being able to participate in the program, by all means, contact me and we'll make sure you get what you need. But I think most of us, especially those of us in public libraries, can print out some brochures and in things like that. And so I'm hoping that everybody will still want to participate despite the fact that we aren't providing the paper materials. So I think that's pretty much it for this particular.
We've got a question here, Pam, about
Sure.
do we have to register to receive the seeds and digital materials? So could you tell
Yeah.
the folks how they got to register?
Absolutely. I send out an email similar to, when I send out the email for, this seed library summit. I try to contact everybody. I hit the listservs and so hopefully, and if you have attended the seed summit, I will, you're on a list. So you will get an email when it usually the beginning of, after the first of the year, we do the registration and try to have everything by the end of February. We like to have everything in everybody's hands by then. Dill is a kind of plant where you don't plant it super early. I guess you can, it won't come up until later. So like I said, it reseeds. So it definitely will just lie dormant until it's time for it to be planted. But you can put the seeds out and the brochures. I always say starting, whenever you start up your seed library, or you can wait till closer to planting time. Again, that's kind of an individual, decision we let each seed library make is when they want to put it out. And then the other decision we let everybody make is how many we send the seeds, and if you want to make 20 packets that are really full, or if you want to make 40 packets that are a little less full. The idea being that we want people to have a sample of the seeds. They don't need to, a lot of times when you buy seeds from you get a packet of seeds, that's way more than you're ever going to plant in one season. So, that factors into this too, is that you give people what you think that they need for one season. Hopefully with something as easy to save seeds from as dill is that you will get some back, Any other questions? I can't see the chat right now. I'll stop sharing, then I can see my things there. There you go. So, do we have any questions? Oh, just that question. Okay. So that's our one seat, one state announcement. There'll be more coming about that soon.
I'm pretty excited about it. So we're going to grow the cucumbers from last year. We got the seeds that we saved from our one seed, one state cucumbers. And now we're going to grow the one seed, one state dill. And then we can make one seed, one state pickles. I'm pretty excited. It's pretty cool.
I am too. In a few minutes, why don't you talk about something, Ben?
Okay.
And I'm going to warn our members that have asked to speak, that I'm getting ready to call on you in a few minutes. I'm going to go through and make everybody co-host so they can share their slides. So,
well, Pam does that. I have an exciting announcement. I wasn't sure when we're going to work it into the itinerary, so it's right now. It's going to happen. So I'm pretty stoked. And so the one seed, one state, a lot of the times once she would make the bundles, once Pam would get the bundles ready, folks would come to pick up their bundles sometimes at the Central Michigan Seed Swap. Since some of you may have been to the Central Michigan Seed Swap in the past, it is something that we do on the last weekend of February. You can, centralmichiganseedswap.com is the website, so you can check it out. We haven't updated the website for this year yet because we've been working out some last minute details on how things are going to happen. But the date is set. It's going to be February 24th. It's going to be on a Saturday again. Last year, we switched it to Saturdays instead of Sundays. And more people were able to attend and then spend the night instead of having to drive home to wherever they had to go to be ready on Monday morning. They can come on Saturday, maybe stay at a hotel, make a whole weekend out of the fun. In years past, we have been at the Chippewa Nature Center, if you've been out there, which is in Midland. And we originally were at an art gallery called Creative 360. And within a couple of years of that, we outgrew that venue very quickly. very quickly. So then we moved to the Chippewa Nature Center, and that's where we've been housed for the last couple of years. And if you've been to the Seed Swap in recent years, we have also outgrown that venue. Last year, we had 900 people show up to the Seed Swap, making it the largest seed swap in all of the Midwest that it happens, which is awesome. Super cool, right? But it's very crowded. So the Chippewa Nature Center just recently informed me that they're not going to be able to continue hosting us because we have become a hazard because we fill up their entire building with people and their parking lot and all the things. So we just recently found that out. So what we have put together is we are actually going to move the seed swap to a new venue, an even larger venue. It's going to be at the Bullock Creek High School. And I'm going to write this down so you can understand how to spell it. This is still in Midland, so we haven't left the town. I can't spell and talk at the same time, apparently. There you go. Bullock Creek High School. And it is a beautiful venue. Years ago, Dow Gardens and the Midland Center for the Arts used to organize a gardening show called the Know and Grow seminar. And it was one of the largest gardening events around. And they would host it at at Bullock Creek High School. And it's a tremendous gymnasium. It's got a cafeteria that we're going to take over for the food, and a beautiful, beautiful auditorium for our presenters. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous auditorium. So it's a really nice venue, plenty of space. Hopefully it's going to take us a couple of years to max capacity at this place. There's lots of room to grow. No pun intended, lots of room to grow. And I'm really excited about it. So I want you guys to mark this again on your calendars. It's February 24th at the Bullock Creek High School in Midland. You got to come. It's absolutely free. It starts at 11 a.m., goes to 4 p.m. Now we're going to have seed vendors there. Many people are sharing free seeds. Some people are selling seeds from their collections. We've got all sorts of different organizations, kids activities, all sorts of stuff going on. And the Michigan Seed Library Network has a table there every year so we can talk about the work that we do and the work that all of you are doing in your communities, so people can learn more about seed libraries. People come from all over the place to this thing, all over Michigan. They come from out of state. We've had people from Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. Last year, we had a lady drive all the way up from Alabama. We've had people from Tennessee, Kentucky, people come over from Canada. They're coming from everywhere to this thing. So this is a great opportunity for the more local folks to learn about your seed library, but for the people from wherever they're coming from to learn about seed libraries in general and take that knowledge home. So I would like to invite any of you that are interested in helping work a short shift at the Michigan Seed Library Network table. It would be very cool. You just got to stand around and ask questions and have a great time and tell people about seed libraries. That would be very, very cool. And you can reach out to me and we can talk about that later. But even if you're not able to commit to working a shift, you should totally come to the seed swap anyways, because it's the coolest thing around. And it's, like I said, it's the largest seed swap in the Midwest. There's nothing like it anywhere else. And that only happens because all of you groovy folks come to it. So please come. If you've got seeds, bring them, but you don't really even need to bring seeds. There's plenty of seeds for everybody there. So did that use up enough time for you, Pam?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and the seed swap is really fun. If you've never been to a seed swap before, I highly recommend it. I know that it's really far for some of you. It's probably an hour from me, but you grab a friend and you carpool there and have a great time, if you can. And it might be worth your trip. And there's other things to do around Midland if you decide to make a weekend for it. So there's plenty to do, but it might inspire you or give you ideas about having a seed swap at your own library too, because that can be a fun thing to do. But yeah, again, as for handing out props, Ben, they like you said, they started out as a relatively small big seed swap, and now it's a big seed swap. And how many people came through last year, Ben?
Last year we had 900 people come.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. It was fun. I ran the table all day, so I think it would be fun to share that responsibility with somebody. So if you are coming, even if it's for a half an hour, so I can go get something to eat, that'd be great. So, but yeah, and people want to talk. You can, and we generally give some seeds away at our table, and so people definitely want to stop and talk if they see free stuff. So.
Yeah, and we have the different speakers every year. We'll have,
Yeah.
3 or 4 different educational programs, and there's just all sorts of different stuff going on. And like Pam mentioned, there's a lot of cool stuff actually in Midland to go and do if you did make a weekend out of it. There's Dow Gardens and the Butterfly House, I think, is happening at the same time. And so there's lots of cool things to make it's an event. So even if it's an hour drive or a 2-hour drive, like I mentioned, there's a lady that drove all the way from Alabama.
Yeah.
So if she can make the drive, I bet you can make the drive too.
You can spend the day there. There's so many vendors and, and you can, people like Tomato Jim, who's got like 5 million kinds of tomatoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it boggles your mind, and he's a great guy and he likes to talk, and so if he's got the time, you can pick his brain about things. You can get some, you can even get ideas about how to package seeds, but you learn everything you do like this. You learn things, even if you're not trying to, so, even if it's against your will. Okay, well, we've got some members that graciously agreed to speak with us. The first one is Tina Markowski. Now, Tina, I was looking on the list to make you co-host. You're the only Tina that was there, so I'm hoping it's you. If not, but anyway, she's from Alpena Public Library, and she's going to talk about how they created their seed library. So Tina, are you there?
I'm right here. Can everybody hear
There
me?
you are. Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, good.
Thank you for agreeing to speak with us. It's a brave and wonderful thing that you're doing.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me speak. I'm going to share my screen and make sure. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk a little bit about our seed library. We kind of started during the pandemic, so it was a little harder to get things going. But once we did, we expanded quite a bit. And I just wanted to show you what we did. We got a little creative in how we presented our seed library. So when we started out, we used what we had. I had these little treasure box from a program that we did during the pandemic, and that's what we put our seed packets into. There's no cost because we already had it, and they're cute. They're very nice to use. However, the lids kind of always popped back, and while they're on the shelving units, they would flop open, or they would be closed, and people wouldn't realize that was our seed library. So there was some cons to it, and you really couldn't pack a lot of seed packets in there. So what we did, we just renovated our library. So we had a lot of old furniture. So the picture of the bookcase on the far left is similar to what we used, that color and everything. And I had a father who had access to a workshop, a wood workshop. So he made a little, in the middle, those are the shelving units that he used scrap wood to modify the shelves on the bookcase. And what he did was he made grooves in the slots and put the face on there, and he put section dividers into it. And then we just painted it blue to match the blue behind the front desk, because I knew I was going to put it across from a front desk. So there was some cost to it with the scrap wood, but because it was my dad, he kind of donated everything. But so we took the bookcase, we took the shelves out, we modified the shelves, and then we added signs to it. So this is our seed library today.
Wow.
And the signs, we used our Glowforge that we have in our micro lab. So not a whole lot of cost. So it's kind of looking, see what you have out there and get creative and modify what you need. And since we started in 2020, we've had 390 packets that have been checked out. So, and then the other thing I wanted to point out is we did a little contest for our logo. So on the right side of the PowerPoint is our logo that a local patron entered and other patrons voted on, and we use that for everything Alpina Seed Library related.
I love the logo. It's
do
very,
too.
very cool. So out of the 390 packets that you guys have distributed since
Mhm.
2020, how many of those do you think are herbs, seeds, or herbs or flowers or vegetables? What seems to be the most popular?
The vegetables and the herbs are by far the most popular.
Nice.
And we get a lot of local people who I push seeds on viewer and say, hey, grow these for me and give me the seeds back. So some or have some dedicated patrons who are fantastic at growing. I'm not one of those people who can grow very well, but I'm learning. So and then we partner with a local greenhouse. It's at a school, and they will take they'll take one seed and grow the plants. They'll give us the seeds back from the plants, and then they'll sell the plants for their greenhouse. So
Wow.
yeah, it has expanded quite a bit since we started.
Well, it looks really great, Tina. I love, as often as I can, I try to stop in when I'm in another town, and see their library, and if they have a seed library, visit it. So it's really great. I was actually in Alpena earlier this year, but it was not a day that you were open. So I was kind of sad that I couldn't pop in and see, but it looks really good. It looks really good. And I try to tell people you don't have to spend a lot of money. Or, I mean, some people have their seed libraries in plastic bins. Some people have their seed libraries in drawers that, they've just like you had something sitting around that they could repurpose. And lucky you that your dad has such skills that he could make this beautiful piece of furniture for you out of what you had.
Yeah, and it's trying to find those connections, seeing who you have available who can do something like that, or if somebody on staff at your library can do something like that. It works out.
Absolutely.
I was at the beginning of this, I was kind of scratching my brain trying to figure out what can we use for the seed library that we just did a renovation, so money was very tight. So when I saw this bookshelf just sitting in the corner and nobody claimed it, I'm like, yes, that's for me.
That's great. For the city, I've got to get my try to see. Okay, there. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? They could put in the chat or.
I have a question. Do you leave the seed library out all year long, or do you only have it out there for certain seasons?
We leave it out. I kind of adopted the how Queen City Seed Library runs theirs in Marquette. So we leave it out all year long, and people do come back with a ton of seeds after they check out. And then they're always like, wait, you have seeds? We can check those out? Yes, please do.
Do you have a barcode on your seeds?
Nope.
Yeah.
They
Some
have to
people
fill out
do.
the form.
Oh, somebody else had the same question. What is the process of checking out a seed from your seed library?
I'll hop in. I'm going to show you. there is a binder on our seed library. And inside the binder, I have forms that they use, and they leave their information and their email usually. And they can check out 3 packets, because at this time we don't have a whole ton of seeds, and we have a big community. So if we get more seeds and it expands even further, we can up that, check out more packets. But they can check out 3 packets. They list their packets and they turn that form into the front desk. Then I have all these patrons' emails that I can send out information to. And also in the packet, I provide information about seed saving and how to seed save and all that good stuff.
Great. Anybody else have any questions for Tina? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tina. It was a big help,
you.
and I'm really glad you agreed to talk to us today. We all need some inspiration. That's one reason I believe in this group, is to help each other and get ideas from each other. Oh, Hannah wants to know, is that 3 packs total or 3 packs per visit?
It's more of an honor system. It's 3 packets total. Usually patrons adhere by that, but if they take more, I'm not going to police them.
No.
Especially if they're going to bring seeds back.
Absolutely.
And
Okay.
it's all ages can check out. So
Do you offer programming too around the seed library?
yeah, I try to do at least a couple of programming a year. And we just did Melinda Myers, a couple of programs with Melinda Myers about gardening and worm composting. So I had patrons starting their own worm composting starter kits to take home.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all this. It's beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Very well
Thank
done.
you. Okay, our next person that's going to speak is Brooke Hiller. And Brooke is, I don't think Brooke is affiliated with a public library, but she has been working to open up native seed libraries in her community area. So Brooke, if you're ready, you can hop in and
All right, can you guys hear me?
see you.
And you can see me. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, I'm going to start screen sharing. Let's see. Okay, I created this PowerPoint this morning, and hopefully it, when I press presentation mode, it actually works. As it takes a minute. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So I'll try to keep it short. I tend to be kind of a chatty person. So if I start rambling, just rein me in. So this project was so much fun. I want to just briefly explain the little collage you see to the right before I go ahead and move through the presentation. This is the side panel of one of our 2-drawer filing cabinets that a volunteer and I actually collaged, like old-fashioned collage, not digital collage, but like cutting images out of magazines and Mod Podging them onto the side of the office furniture. And it was very, very therapeutic as well as functional. So, okay. So our project started like it seems like most projects do. It seems like a long time ago. I started working with Friends of the St. Clair River. Oh, also, here's a brief introduction. My name is Brooke Hiller. I'm the restoration coordinator with Friends of the St. Clair River. I've worked with Friends since September of 2021. So right around the time I came on, the end of 21 into 2022, we started talking about starting a seed library, and we were wondering how we were going to do that. Because in St. Clair County, we don't have a lot of immediate access to local genotype seeds and native plants. So we wanted to find a way to get more people involved in getting native plants in their own gardens. And we were thinking about doing some, who we might want to partner with. So Wildflower Association of Michigan immediately came up as an option. And we're thinking, well, we're not an actual library, we're a small nonprofit, but we have access to obviously our local libraries, but also St. Clair County Community College's library. We had some connections there. So we wrote a grant proposal to Wildflower Association of Michigan's program. They have a grant every year. And we were granted funds. So we started the process in early 2023. Here's a couple of the things that we did. I'll kind of go through them briefly. But I'll direct your attention to the image on the right. This is just a little collage I made of the seed library making process. So we had we repurposed 2 old filing cabinets, and as you can see, they're just little 2-drawer filing cabinets. They were boring office colors, so we spray painted them a nice dark blue color. And then my volunteer on the right here, Penny and I worked for hours to cut out all of these images and Mod Podge them onto the sides and front of the filing cabinets. So Penny and I worked together a lot, and then I had quite a few volunteers who worked with me throughout the season to collect native seeds and to bag them up. We also did some on-site, as part of our grant, we needed to put together on-site gardens for seed collection. So at our Thumb Coast Watershed Center, we have 4 little, they're not too small, but decent sized gardens that have all native plants, probably about 20 different species of native plants that we'll be using in the future to, as they mature, to continually refill these seed libraries. So here is a graphic I made. I just used some of my graphics because I put a lot of work into these graphics for our newsletters. I'm like, these will be perfect for our presentation today. So as you can see, this is the collage of some of the things that we started out with at the beginning of this year. To the upper right, you see the very first seed library we had, which was really just an old plastic storage bin. It worked pretty well, but it got too small very fast. So we had to upgrade. But we had 2 different seed cleaning workshop days, and it was a lot of fun to do. In the middle of winter, we were dreaming about winter sowing and seed and having our seeds sprout. So as I mentioned, we also had some seed collecting work days. So throughout the summer, we have a weekly work day on the Blue Water River Walk in Port Huron, Michigan, which is it's about a mile of shoreline that has been, it was a former brownfield, and over the last 10 years, we've reestablished a bunch of different types of native plants and gardens and wild natural areas. So we have plenty of sources for native seeds. So we're out there every week trying to collect seeds as they ripen. And I don't know if you've all had this in situation, but this year, the seeds didn't ripen quite as on schedule as we had hoped, but we do still have quite a few that we did collect. So earlier, I also mentioned about our gardens that we put in as part of the grant that we were awarded. And these are right outside our Thumb Coast Watershed Center. This is the group that helped plant everything and helped clean out the gardens and get them ready. We also, again, like I said, we partnered with Wildflower Association of Michigan, and this man right here in the orange shirt, that's Dave Putt. He's vice president of Wildflower Association of Michigan, and he was there helping us all through the process. And we also made it a location for local master gardeners to come and be able to get volunteer hours to help put in the gardens and maintain them. Okay, so here is a very busy image, but it's a selection. There's two separate libraries here. So one of them is going to go to SC4. That's what we call St. Clair County Community College. So one's going to SC4. I'm actually taking it over tomorrow. And then one of them stays at our Thumb Coast Watershed Center. So the image up in the upper left is the image of the library that's going to SC4, and has, like I said, both of them have 2 drawers. The bottom drawer is all resource material as to teach people about native plants, what all the different things you need to know about native plants, how to start native plants from seed, understanding the importance of local genotypes and growing zones, and all of the technical things you might want to know to get your native seeds successfully started. And then in the lower right corner, you'll see the table with our logo on it. And then off to the side, that's the little native plant seed library that stays at our watershed center. And then all of these are just close-up images of what the seed libraries look like, and the collages that I'm actually very proud of. It was so much fun to make those. So the future of our seed library program, like I said, we are brand new to this. So we started, and we just basically all of 2023 has been getting these seed libraries up and running. This image is a shot of September 16th when we had our native plant sale. We partnered with East Michigan Native Plants. She came out and brought a bunch of native plants, and we had a big plant sale for our local community. And I pulled out our seed library. And the thing that's cool about it is it's a mobile library, so we could easily move it and bring it to wherever we are. And we had patrons coming and picking out seeds. Oh, I'm going to go back if I can. Okay, so the future of our seed library program, we're basically going to just continue to focus on ongoing community outreach. So we'll be offering seed cleaning workshops again, and we're going to be teaching people the importance of winter sowing and how to do that. Because with native seeds, as you know, they need a cold stratification period, and not a lot of people know about that. So we want to make sure to educate people how to get started. We right now have about 40 different types of seeds. So we have flowering, plants like forbs. We have shrubs, and we have trees, all in that selection. And to check out the seeds, you basically it's a pretty quick process. You pick out the seeds you want, and then there is a QR code on that sign, and you just scan the QR code, and then it takes you to a jot form, and you just fill out about 4 or 5 questions, and you check out your seeds. Right now, we don't have an obligation for people to bring the seeds back because I haven't entirely worked that out, because I want those. I don't, the importance of having the seeds stay unhybridized. Like I don't want the purple coneflower hybridizing with the, whatever different cultivar a person might have in their garden. So I'm just, as long as we have our core gardens that we can harvest from, I just want people to be able to come and get seeds and plant native plants in their own gardens without the obligation right now of having to bring any back. So since the program's so new, we haven't had a full year yet to see how it works. So we're going to be looking forward to getting feedback from our patrons, our library patrons, over the next year or two to see how it goes. So that's our program in a nutshell.
Wow, Brooke, that's amazing. You've done a lot in a year.
I had a lot of help too. Like I said,
Yeah.
volunteers are a big part of that. So
But you obviously are very creative, all of you. And but we did have a question in the chat. How do you the top drawer of your file cabinet, how do you have the seeds in there? Are they in
Oh.
file folders? or-
yes, let me go back.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Okay, so in the bottom left picture, as you can see, it's not the best image, but hopefully you can see they're all in hanging file folders, and I had to make sure I scoured the internet for file folders that had little attached sides
Mhm.
so that the seed packets wouldn't fall out the sides. So these are special file folders that have like little accordion extensions on them. And then I labeled everything, and I had to use a very fine point pen to write both the botanical name and the common name of each plant. So that's all labeled there in alphabetical order.
Excellent.
This is awesome. I love this so much. It's beautiful. You've done a fantastic job. That was one of the comments I saw down there too, is how eye-catching this is. It's fantastic. And it's, that's an important thing for all seed libraries to consider, is that visual appeal, to get people's attention, to get them looking in that direction, curious, what's this beautiful thing? And you've totally nailed that. This thing is gorgeous. It's functional. I love that it's portable, that you can just take it to these different events. You have done an incredible job in a very short amount of time. This is very well done. This is so cool.
Thank you
cool.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
means a lot to hear from you.
Thank you for sharing this with us. This is really, really neat.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. This is and native plants are really coming on strong. So anyone who has a seed library, I do recommend that you at least look into having some of the more common ones. And it's an opportunity for programming too. As she said, doing a program on winter sowing. We've got one coming up early December that we're going to do. And, because of the cold stratification needs of wildflowers, most of them.
Yep.
And I thought your coneflower remark was very important too, because there's a lot of hybrid coneflowers floating around out there. And what we're looking for is the Echinacea purpurea. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
So that's how I say it.
My Latin is not that great. But that's the one that we're kind of hoping for. And some of the hybrids, there could be problems with them not being sterile. They could be not as accessible to the pollinators because they're double flowers are harder to get into than single flowers. So there's lots of issues, and it's a great opportunity for learning, both for the people managing the seed library and for being able to offer programming to your patrons.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Somebody says now they want to create a traveling native plant seed library.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, somebody asked me what a demonstration garden was earlier, and we do, out in the front of our library, we do have native plants planted, and I, get seeds from those every year. So, and put them in our seed library. It doesn't take very long once they dried to just go out and snip them off and shake them out and put them in little baggies. And that's what I pretty much spend all winter doing.
Yep, our stock room is filling up really fast with dried native seeds because we just cut them and put them in bags, and as we have time, we process them. But I mean, we have more seeds than we know what to do with right now, which is a good problem to have, because we're partnering with our local Lake St. Clair SISMA, which is like a cooperative invasive species management. There's a lot of places that are in like large scale projects that are in desperate need of native plants, because we have a lot of erosion and flooding in Southeast Michigan. So if we can get some plants in the ground in larger areas to prevent that, that'll go a long way toward water quality and quality of life for everybody.
And for people who are looking to create more excitement about their seed library, this is an opportunity because, as I said, native plants are hot right now. Everybody's talking about them, but maybe not everybody knows how to get them or how to start them from seed. And so it's a really a good opportunity. And we wish you the best of luck and keep us posted on your, well, I'd love to have you back next year to give us a little,
I'd be happy
report
to.
on, an update
be
on how
happy
things
to.
are going.
What worked and what didn't.
Is there a
Couple of
list?
questions here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Or I'll say the two of them here. Is there a list of native plants where we could find a list of native, if we wanted to have a native plant collection?
Oh, yes. So I don't have my list up and accessible right now, but there's a lot of resources. Actually, if you want to start a good plant list, my favorite one so far, Xerxes Society has a PDF. So if you go to their website, you can find their PDF print off. It's a two-sided piece of printout of native plants for the Great Lakes area. And there's probably at least 30, 40 different types of native plants. That's flowers, shrubs, and trees. So Xerxes Society is a great place to start.
Awesome. And then Tina asked, do you have patrons that are trying to donate from their gardens to your seed library?
Yes, I do. And so far I haven't had to like turn anyone away. Because the people who are so far donating from their own private gardens are people who I've actually learned from. So they're like my mentors, basically, my native plant mentors. So I feel confident that the plants I'm getting are, not mixed with other species. So far I haven't run into that trouble yet.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was great.
Thanks.
I'm trying to get that Xerxes link to pop into the.
Somebody put it in there already.
Oh, somebody a little faster than me,
Yep.
obviously. Okay. All righty. All right. Our next person is Quinn Edwards. She's from Portage District Library, and she's also doing great work with native plants. So Quinn, are you able and ready to pop in here? There she is. Hey, you need to unmute yourself, Quinn, I think.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right. And then you can see my PowerPoint.
Yeah, we can see your PowerPoint. We can't see you, but we can see your PowerPoint.
There's a picture of me
Okay.
in there. I am at home and this computer does not have a great video, but you'll see who I am in the presentation.
Sure.
Thank you for giving me a chance to talk a little bit about the seed library we have at the Portage District Library. We are in Kalamazoo County, just south of Kalamazoo. And I knew that there were going to be two other speakers today, but I didn't realize how well maybe what I'm going to talk about kind of just segues from both of those. So we have a seed library that we started in 2021 also, so it's 3 years old. But even before that, we had a Monarch Way Station, which was a place where we could grow native plants. So we actually started growing native plants before we started our seed library. And I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about what we're up to. So this is our seed library on the left. This is not the original piece of furniture that we had. We repurposed a card catalog that was part of our local history room. and it had 15 drawers. So that was on loan for us for 2 years. And we did outgrow those 15 drawers, and our local historian wanted his card catalog back. So we got very, very lucky and found this giant card catalog at the Western Michigan University surplus store. They have been renovating some of their libraries. So this was from the education library at Western Michigan University, and we got an awesome deal on it. And then this is painted by me, so that it's green and it stands out from some of the other furniture and things that we have going on at the library, so that people can say, go look at the giant green card catalog. We do also have a logo for our seed library, which you can see on the sign and our binder and our brochures, just to tie it all in together. And then I also included a picture on the right-hand side of what it looks like inside the drawers. So I did get help from some of our facilities staff. And if you remember those old card catalogs, they had that bar going through the middle to hold the cards in place. And while that's lovely, if you have catalog cards, it made the seed packets tilt all over the place. So they were able to use, honestly, I'm not sure what it was, whether it was tin snips or a drill or something. And they took those poles out so that we could just have our seed envelopes in there horizontally. And then we also have someone on staff whose dad is a woodworker and volunteered some scrap wood and some time to make these wood blocks as divisions for the seeds in the seed library. I included a link here. Let me see if it'll even go to it. It might be too fancy. All right, so it's not a live link, but that is the website. Around the time that we started our seed library, our marketing person was also redoing our library website. So I jumped right in on that. So our seed library does have its own web page that just kind of explains what we're doing. And then you can kind of see on the seed library that the drawers are color coded. So on the top, we have those yellow squares. So those are the native seeds. And then below it, we have blue is veggies, purple is herbs, red is annuals. And then what else is down there? Orange, we have a couple of perennials that are not native, but that you can grow from seed. And then we had some tree and shrub seeds donated. So there's a drawer for those too. So this was taken in the spring, and we are easily filling up these drawers. So there's quite a few more drawers for each type and more labels. So the way that this seed library works, in the spring, we put out the veggie, herb, and annual seeds because, of course, that is the time of year where you're going to want to have access to them and start growing them. But then we also have a second season when we put out our next round of seeds, and that is in the winter. As Brooke touched on, native seeds, most of them, not all of them, do need a period of cold or cold moist stratification. So if we make our native seeds available in December, then people can either use the winter sowing method or direct sow their native seeds, so that we don't have to be without gardening and plants in the winter. We can start things for the next year. So then I just want to talk a little bit about our Monarch Way Station, because that is where I get a lot of the native seeds. So as I said, our seed library is 3 years old, but our Monarch Way Station is 6 years old. We started in 2018, and this is an area on the north side of our library where we had just had some trees taken out. It's a very sunny spot, and we got permission to plant some native plants to start a monarch way station. So the organization monarchwatch.org registers monarch way stations. They have some information about what you need to have a monarch way station, a full sun area, and places for monarchs to complete their life cycle. And that could be a whole presentation in and of itself. So I apologize, I'm just kind of glossing over it, but just to get an idea, you can go to monarchwatch.org to learn a little bit more about monarch way stations. And the Portage District Library has a registered one. We are way station 21,992. And from that bare grass and dirt picture, this is what our monarch way station looks like this spring. So this is actually when some of the plants are just getting started, because we've got the yellow on the left-hand side is golden Alexander, and some blue false indigo in the back there. Those are spring blooming plants. So these are, this picture was taken in the spring. But we do have monarchs and lots of other butterflies and insects, bees, moths that are living out in our way station, which I'm very proud of. And so all of these pictures were taken in our monarch way station, eggs and caterpillars, and then of course those beautiful orange monarchs coming to visit us as well. So we have a lot of the species that you're probably going to see on that Xerxes list of native plants. This could also be a whole nother presentation, but these are just some of the plants that we are growing at the Portage District Library. So we have Lanceleaf coreopsis, we have that blue false indigo. On the right, that is one of the penstemon species. We have the native purple coneflower. In the middle, we have the native species of Rudbeckia, which you would probably know as black-eyed Susan. And then the native wild columbine, that red with the pretty yellow centers. And then a couple more. This is gray-headed coneflower, Ratibida pinnata, I think is the scientific name, ironweed, and joe pie weed. And we also have a number of different grasses and sedges growing in the way station, which is great for that ground cover level and a great spot for insects to hide, and also our host plants for some of our native, mostly moth, skipper, and moth species. So all those beautiful flowers, as the growing season winds down and the weather starts getting cooler, turn into plants with tons of seeds. And Brooke, when she was talking about the native plantings that they're gathering seeds from, native plants are extremely prolific and make lots and lots of seeds. So we kind of have the same, it's not a bad problem, but the same problem that she was talking about, in that we have tons of seeds. We can collect tons of seeds. And we are landlocked at the library. Next door to us is actually the Central Cemetery. So they do mow and blow that quite regularly. So we do collect a lot of the seeds, just because if they blow over there, they're probably not going to get a chance to become an established plant. So we collect them and share them with the community. So these are just a few of the species that we're collecting, and I try and photograph them just to help our volunteers know what it is that they're looking for when we're cleaning seeds. And that could also be a whole nother presentation about cleaning native plant seeds and what you're looking for. So who is helping with our seed library. I personally am affiliated with Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones, but our library is as well. We offer meeting room space to our local chapter of Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones. So they hold at least 6 programs per year where they're talking about native plants. They certainly share a lot of their knowledge about native plants and seeds and collecting, which has really helped us with the knowledge, to share with the community about native plants. The members of Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones also are providing seed donations, and I do have a donation form where we ask them to fill it out for each type of seed. I want to know where the seeds came from or where the original plant came from, just so that we're sharing things that truly are native to Michigan. And then Wild Ones also does provide volunteers. So they're either helping package seeds or helping to take care of the Monarch Way Station, weeding and things like that, so that we have beautiful plants that we can collect lots of seeds from. We also have volunteers from the Kalamazoo Master Garden Association. So they do a lot of help with packaging, and you can see they've got the white coin envelopes. That's what we use to share most of our seeds. And then we do use the address labels. So after the seeds go in that white coin envelope, then they use that label to let people know what it is and to seal the envelope shut, because I don't want to be licking envelopes and sealing them. And after COVID, we know that's probably not the best idea either. So we use the stickers to shut the envelopes. So they have been a fantastic resource. And then also at the Portage District Library, we have a very fun plant community. They have a Facebook page. It's called Kalamazoo Plant It Forward. And this group are indoor and outdoor plant enthusiasts. So they also are collecting seeds and talking about seeds at their plant swap. I attend. They have them every other month at our library, and I'm always there with brochures about our seed library, maybe giving away milkweed seeds and getting people interested. But it is also how we get a lot of our veggie and herb seed donations, because plant people are plant people. So they're growing all kinds of things. And so this group has been a great resource for us as well. If you're interested and you don't have a seed library, or maybe your plants didn't do so well, or for us at PDL, we have full sun areas that we're growing plants in. So we don't have as many of the more rain garden type of native plants to share, or shady areas. We will sometimes buy native plant seeds to supplement the seed library. So these are a few resources if you're interested in buying some native plant seeds to start, or supplement a native seed library. So there's Michigan Wildflower Farm. They are out in Portland, Michigan. And so they're growing all Michigan genotype seeds, and you can buy things at the amount that you're interested in from their website. There's also Prairie Moon. This is not necessarily Michigan genotype, but a lot of the seeds will at least fall within our ecoregion. They sell seeds, they sell little plant starts, and they also just have a lot of great information on their website. And then there's Native Connections. This is a native seed business that is out of Kalamazoo. They're kind of out by the Kalamazoo Nature Center. They sell more seed mixes. like if you're looking to do a seeding project, or maybe if you were interested in offering a Michigan eco-type seed mix as part of something you might offer at your seed library, that could be kind of interesting too. If you're interested in starting your own monarch way station so that you have plants where you could collect seeds from, all of the plants at the Portage District Library came from Hidden Savannah Nursery, which is in Kalamazoo. They are not open year round. They have specific retail sale dates, but their website is there so that you can kind of take a look at what they offer and how to purchase those plants either in the fall or in the spring. And then we also have purchased plants from Wild Type Native Plant Nursery, and that is, let me think, in Mason, Michigan, so farther north from Kalamazoo. So we have a lot of plants from them, and they are growing Michigan eco-type native plants. Again, Prairie Moon sells plugs and kits and things like that to maybe help you start a small native plant garden. And then I'm also sharing this resource here, which is from Wild One's national website, but they do have a great resource to help people find native plant nurseries that are close to them. So if you go to their website, click on Find a Nursery, and then go to Michigan, it lists reputable native plant growers so that you could maybe find some plants closer to you and your library to start a native plant garden or a monarch way station. Let's see here. So this is me and our seed library to the left of me. Very recently, there was an article in an online Michigan magazine called Second Wave Media, and he interviewed a lot of people who are active in the native plant community in and around Kalamazoo. And so I was very, very proud that he also came to the library and we did an interview talking about our seed library at PDL and the fact that we will be offering another round of native plant seeds starting on December 1st. I'm a little bit nervous because we already have had people come in to the library and asking my coworkers and looking for them. But it is a process to collect and dry and package all of the native plant seeds from this year. So I've given myself till December 1st to be prepared for that. So all publicity is good, and we're going to be so happy to have so many people coming in. But yeah, I'm getting myself ready. So there is a link here to that article, which I can share all of this information or the PowerPoint presentation with other people if they're interested in it after this. And then that's me. In addition to native plants, I also have an interest in native butterflies and moths. And so this is a Polyphemus moth that decided to become friends. So that was a very special thing that happened this summer. I share that picture whenever I can. So again, my name is Quinn. I'm at the Portage District Library. If you have additional questions, if you're thinking about starting to incorporate native seeds in your seed library, I know that's a ton of information in a short time. This is stuff that I've been working on over the past 6 years. Learning and talking with people and making connections to make this successful at my library. So it does not happen overnight. And I'm still learning things and making mistakes and making adjustments, but it's definitely worth it. There definitely is a lot of buzz about native plants. So I am really happy to be able to offer them free to the people in our community. Because it's just not something that you can go to Meijer and purchase. And so, yeah, that is what I have to share. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy, you know, if you want to email and talk a little bit more for your own situation. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Quinn. I'm continually amazed at how much talent we have out in our little seed saving community and seed library community. And the member stories are definitely my favorite part of the Seed Library Summit every year. So I really thank the three of you for stepping forward and offering to share your libraries with us, and so many good ideas and so much inspiration. So I'm sure people's phones were snapping away as as they were as the slides came up. I know mine was. But thanks again, everybody. And as you know, we are recording this in a couple of days. I will have it on our website as soon as our tech person returns from her vacation, and you can look it over. And for those who weren't able to make it, they can't share, they can't ask questions, but they can at least see what we all did. Okay, our next thing we were going to do is we did have someone ask about ideas for packaging seed. I put together a little slideshow with what I know, and we did have some of our members share their pictures. So I'm able to get that up there for us. Let's see. Well, hold on.
While she's getting that ready,
Yeah.
Quinn, I just wanted to say thanks for your presentation. Also, that was beautiful. And what a score with the old card catalog, huh? I bet a lot of us were very jealous to see that. That was pretty cool. And you really put it to good use. That's very, very neat. Quick question for you. When you package up the native plant seeds for folks, approximately how many seeds do you put in a packet?
Can you still hear me even though I'm not sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good thing I didn't say anything. I was sitting here quietly. So I just say a pinch. Obviously with the native seeds, they're so different. Some of them are teeny like pepper, and some of them are, you know, quite large to where like just putting a couple of them, like a pawpaw seed, for example, is like a peach pit. So I say a pinch, and then I remind the volunteers that, you know, every seed has the potential to be a plant. So we kind of go about it that way. We usually get so many seeds, you know, from the plants that we're growing at the library that I'm not too strict about, you know, how many they can put in a package. And if it's something we don't have much of, I usually just package those myself just so that we can stretch them out as far as possible. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. This is just a quick little slideshow. I put in what I do. I put in what other people sent me. So hopefully you'll get some inspiration from here. One question we get a lot is, how many seeds do you put in a packet? That's really up to you. It kind of depends on how much seed you have for any given thing. You can be more generous if you have tons of something. You get to know your community, and you kind of get to know how many packets you're gonna need to go in any given year. So as you develop a feel for it, but usually beans, peas, cowpeas, things like that, you want to put a minimum of 16 to 20. So they can have a decent sized little row and have enough to eat and hopefully save seed from. Tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, broccoli, cabbage, those types of things, the average person doesn't put in 40 of these. If they are, then they probably should go buy a seed packet. So I generally put in 8 to 10 unless we've been, you know, inundated with seed for any one particular thing. which almost never happens. So if you give them 8 to 10, hopefully they'll get 5 or 6 that will germinate, and or the full amount, but that can be a challenge for some people getting things to germinate. These are all things that should be started indoors ahead of time. So I find that the people that don't like to start seeds indoors, they're probably not going to take these. But 8 to 10, 6 to 10, whatever is a good amount to have. If the seed's slightly older, sometimes seed companies, if you get a donation, they'll be a year or two old. We've been donated things that were even older than that. So you might want to put a few more in, as most seeds are good for 3 years or more. Onions and that family tend not to last as long. Some will germinate, but not all of them. So, just kind of gauge if it's older seed, you may want to put a few more in there to make up for the possible lower germination. Root crops and some of the leafy crops, give them a few more. You want to make sure that they have enough to put in a nice little row and get a good supply. Because a lot of these are biennials and don't bear seed to their second year, we don't tend to get tons of those returned. Broccoli does come and go to seed in its first year, but unfortunately, it crosses with everything else that's flowering, including some of the wild brassicas. So, you kind of hope, and I try to quiz people and say, did you in some way bag or isolate these seeds? And they may look at you like they have no idea what you're talking about. And some people try really hard. And when we do seed saving programming, we have to really drive that home, that you don't want to, you don't want your carrots crossing with the Queen Anne's lace and things like that. So, because they're pretty promiscuous that way. Squash, cucumber, pumpkins, I like to give them enough to put in, like old-timey farmers, they put things in hills, which were, 5 or 6 planted in a circle in a mound, or a short row. So I try to give them, about 10. That's enough for a couple of hills. Lettuce, things like that, 30 plus. Most of those seeds, chard and spinach aren't that small, but most of the other ones are pretty small. So sometimes it's easier just to use like 1/8 of a teaspoon or something like that. Or if you have those real tiny little measuring spoons that are like, I found them, they're like a smidgen and a dash, and some of those come in handy too. You just kind of count out how many seeds you want to give, estimate how much that is as far as a teaspoon or a fraction of that, and see what's closest to that. And it saves out a lot of counting if you could just measure them out. Corn is a kind of a special little case. I have never had corn donated by a patron. I've gotten it at seed swaps, but it's not something. It's especially if you're growing corn where there's other kinds of corn in the area. If it's wind pollinated, you have to kind of go through some special methods to get make sure your corn is pure. But just as far as getting good pollination so that you get a nice full ears of corn, they should be planted in blocks of rows instead of one long row. So if you give them 20 seeds, they can have 5 rows or 4 rows of 5 plants, or, so I'd say a minimum of 20 per packet. Again, depending on how much you have. Flowers, maybe 20. Cover crops, I started offering those a couple of years ago. I buy them. That's not something generally people save seed for. But I put those in a Ziploc snack size bag, a half cup, quarter cup, depending on how much I have. try to spread it around as much joy as possible. If you get commercial seed packets donated, then, usually those can be split up into at least 3 packets. And so you can make, some people just put them in the seed library as is, as received, but you can spread the joy around a little bit more if you break them up and put them into more packets. I stopped putting the year the seed is for on the packet. Most of our seed goes pretty fast, so I don't have it sitting around from maybe 2 years, but certainly not past that. Because people, if it's 2024 and they see it says 2022, they're going to go, oh, it's old. Not realizing that the seeds are still perfectly good. And we try to store ours correctly. Storage, if you have leftover seeds, you want to keep them cool, dry, and dark. Labeling, as you go through, I've visited a lot of seed libraries. I've seen a lot of, people have sent us pictures. As you will see in a few minutes, there's as many different ways to label as there are seed libraries. And so you have options of what to put on it. Some people put very little information on the seed packet, some packet full of information. But some of the things you can consider to put is like a species and the variety. The species being like eggplant and the variety being ping tung long or something, and the number of seeds per packet. Some people put that on there. Growing information. When to plant it, when to, if needs to be started ahead of time, if it has any special instructions like stratification, you want to put all that on there. The source, if you get, you can put the source is purchased seed, or you can put the company you purchased it from. You can put donated. You could put who had donated it, like Seed Savers Exchange or High Mowing Seeds or whoever. You can put the source. You could put, obviously you want to put your seed library name on there. Not too many people barcode their seed packets, but some do, because it's great for keeping statistics. So if you need to make room for a barcode, you have to have that on there. And the year the seed was produced or packaged, that's again optional if you want to put that on there. Now, and I realize that some libraries and seed libraries don't have a well-stocked office supply closet. And so if, some of them don't have all these different sizes of labels that stick on, and you always have the option of printing out the labels and just cutting them up and taping them onto the seed, or stapling onto the seed packets, or gluing them onto the seed packets. So it's there's lots of ways to get around that if you don't have labels, ready-made labels. Some people buy stamps that they can stamp their seed packets with that have, again, whatever you want to have on it. That's a one-time purchase, hopefully, other than the ink. So some of the supplies that you have that are most commonly used, the number 1 and the number 3 coin envelopes are most commonly used. The number 1 coin envelope, I've pretty much exclusively gone to that, although I may switch the number 3 and I'll show you why later. But then there's all kinds of sizes of small Ziploc bags. The advantage to those is that they're very economical. And sometimes for very fine seeds, it's almost necessary to put them inside of another small envelope. They have little glassine envelopes available, or you could use a little tiny resealable Ziploc bag too. Some of them are only like an inch square. They're very small, but it keeps the fine seeds from scooting out of the top of the seed packet. Last year when I was packaging the lettuce seeds to send out from one state, I was having them, they were doing a fair amount of scooting, but I just ended up taping what the top of the packet really well, trying to keep them in. And then there's the most commonly used address labels. The 30 per sheet address labels fit well on the number 1 coin envelopes. And of course they fit on the number 3s too. And the big shipping address labels are 2x4. And that's one reason I'm thinking about switching over to number 3 envelopes, so I can use one bigger envelope or one bigger label than 2 smaller ones. Right now I have to use 2 smaller ones to fit it all on. Most of these supplies are available from Amazon, Quill, Staples, and unfortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, Amazon does have probably some of the best prices on these things. And be careful because, with the coin envelopes, you'll see a good price and then you realize, well, there's only 100, whereas the boxes, usually boxes of 500 tend to be $15, $16. So it's good to buy larger amounts. And if, and they don't go bad. If you need them all in 1 year, you can definitely save them. So this is Diana Marble from East Lansing Public Library sent some of her, she sent her seed packets examples and also some of her signage. And I know I'm always loving to see how people, what kind of signage they use with their seed libraries. But you can see they have a little picture that they fit on their label, which I think is very cute and awesome. She puts her growing instructions. She uses the label on the back with the growing instructions is also keeping the packet closed. So that's a little helpful there. So Hannah Mason from Saugatuck Douglas District Library sent hers. And she I just kind of cut and pasted what her accompanying text. And also they use their labels to seal the, to seal the one shut so nobody has to lick it. Even if you aren't opposed to licking the labels, there's just so much of that you're going to want to do. So I also put a little piece of tape on the back of them too, if I don't get into licking very often. Plus, I don't think that's the best way to keep everything from staying in. The glue on those isn't. I feel much better having a piece of tape or a label over it. They get the number 1 coin envelopes and boxes of 500. So thank you for that picture. And then we've got, whoops, sorry, I wasn't done. And then Lindsay Ellison from Auburn Hills put an example of their seed packets. So they put the seed count. They have a cute little logo on the front, and then on the back they put a good deal of growing information, and they put the source. So yeah, that's a good amount of information on those packets. And Aubrey Franklin from Westland Public Library sent several pictures of hers. They use a notebook like some seed libraries use, where they have a binder with all of the growing information for the different seeds with a full page seed, and people I would assume they can make a copy if they want to before they leave, or they can take a picture of it with their phone. And then on the seed packet, they have quite a bit of information too, a great deal. So, and they've got their logo and who donated it in the year. So great deal of, and then get a little glimpse of their filing system. That's a great cabinet. And one of the drawers open up so you can see how they file the seeds. Let's see. So she says that Westland just did a renovation. And so they've got their Library of Things collection room. And so it's a perfect fit for the seed library, as along with the other goodies that they have in their Library of Things. So yeah, they wow. And she's got a she's got a good system for her master spreadsheet. I'm always really inspired by people who are able to keep their spreadsheets updated. I continually fail. I work on it really hard, and then I kind of, as seeds run out, I forget to take them out. And so, kudos to all of you who manage to be that organized. Librarians tend to be super organized people. I don't know how I was led into the profession, but and this is my library. I use the number one, and I have as you can see, that doesn't always fit on the label, but provided by the Seed Library with some website information, encouraging them to donate. And then as much, I put on here, a example of what I put for a wildflower, for something that needs to be started indoors, something that needs to be direct sown, and barely cover seed. All of those things are helpful to people. Now, neither one of these were sent to me. I snagged these off the internet, but they were just kind of a little bit different than I've seen before. One looks like they actually took a picture or copied the seed packet. And I don't know if there's any copyright laws involved with that, but it's a cute idea anyway. And another one where they basically just have for each species, like pumpkins, then they have a generic label with because they basically all pumpkins, except for maybe the big giant ones, have the same culture and growing instructions. So they put all that on there, and then they just have to fill in the variety name. Then it can be written in, or little labels made and put there. So I thought that was kind of creative. And Ziploc bags, they come in all different sizes. If you just Google small Ziploc bags or put it into Amazon or a search, you'll come up with many, many different kinds. And so some people use the small ones and that just fit the little address label. One thing that's kind of cool about Ziploc bags is that you can slide a little sheet inside of them rather than maybe taping it to the front or using a label. Another option if you don't have access to the ability to print out labels. So that I thought that was a kind of a cute idea. I've seen it before, and sometimes at seed swaps, people use that too, that when they're filling, they bring their own little Ziploc bags and little pieces of paper, and then they write everything they want to write on the piece of paper and slide it into the bag. Then they've got everything together. And on the far left, it looks like they taped their little baggies onto a piece of paper with just some text written at the top. So you could people can take a picture of it. I said the kind of cool thing about using the plastic bags is that you can see what the seeds look like before because there's a lot of difference between different seeds. The thing you have to take good care of when you use plastic bags is just make sure that everything is thoroughly dry. You don't want partially dried seeds in a plastic bag with no air circulation, because that's going to cause it'll certainly diminish their shelf life, if not completely ruin them, especially if they start to mold or mildew. So I'm not discouraging using plastic bags. Are great. You just have to just be sure they're good and dry before you put them in there. So other plastic, options I won't dwell on too long, but you can use Cricut machines have seed packet templates are available. A few years, our first year and part of some of our second year that we were doing One Seed, One State. Deb, what was her name, Ben? From Grosse Pointe. She made us thousands of seed packets, and I used them for the whole first year and part of the second year until we ran out. She made the packets out of, and I think it's on the next slide. I'll show you a picture of what she did. It was amazing. It was so helpful to us to get going. She's retired now, and Grosse Pointe has quite, I don't know if anyone is on here today. We visited them early this year, and their seed, they have a very organized and well-oiled machine of a seed library there. Some people, there's directions online for making origami seed packets. There's little templates available online. And you can use library discards, some of the old coffee table books that have a lot of good pictures in them. If they don't sell at your book sale, you can use them for making seed packets with. And then to the right, I've got, these are just seed packets made out of cutting up envelopes that your return envelopes that come in with your bills and things like that. And then flat paper bags that, like, for stationery, you can cut those up, and you're using a corner, and then you just tape off the other edge and fold them over. Some templates I just pulled off of the internet that you could print out and fold up. It just really depends on how many seed packets you're doing a year. Doing it handmade envelopes are really not something that if you're giving away thousands of packets a year, that's not going to be feasible. But if you're just starting out and you don't have a budget for buying envelopes, there are ways to kind of get around it. And so, yeah, here's the pictures of the seed packets that Deb made for us. And she, like I said, she used heavyweight paper from discarded books. And it's everything. It was floral, it was people, it was fireworks, it was travel, just all kinds of stuff. They were very interesting. And so some of you have been with One Seed, One State for a while probably received some of those in your original kits. So, and then the last thing is that we already saw a little bit of that in some of our previous examples, but if you can keep your seed packets from donated seeds and put them into a little photo album and keep, or a small photo album, large photo album. You can just use the pockets that way. Again, people can find their seeds. If they want to see what it looks like, they can take a picture of it and so they can take that information home with them or make a copy at the copy machine. So that's about it for my little dog and pony show here. Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing here. Why can't it?
That was awesome, Pam. I
Thank you.
loved those seed packets that Deb made for us. They were so beautiful. So yeah, I recommend anybody that's interested in trying to make some of their own seed packets for sure. It takes more time, but it saves you the money. So it just depends on what resource you have more of, I suppose.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm looking at so thank you so much for those of you who shared your packets. Hannah put in, she made origami seed packets this week and loved them compared to mailing envelope halves because there's no leaky hole to tape up. Definitely. Maybe next year you can share your seed when we have a member sharing. You can tell us how those worked out. And Cheryl wanted to know where she can find a pattern for the origami seed packets. If Hannah wants to plug that into the chat. Otherwise, a quick Google of origami seed packets brings up quite a few different options, and YouTube videos they show you how to make them. So it's a lot out there. Let's see, I think we brought it up a little bit before. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our website. We do our best to keep it updated. It's there's nobody working at the Michigan Seed Library Network full time. And sometimes it takes us a couple of days or weeks to answer all the emails or get the new libraries on the website, but we plug along at it as best we can with what we have. And so it just, we tried to get this going a few years ago about having people submit library profiles. I think that I'll send that out or put it in the chat in a couple of minutes. But we've got a form and that we'd like you to fill out if possible, and attach a couple pictures, and I'd like to put them on the website. So because we have maybe 3 or 4 seed libraries on there, but it hasn't been updated in years. And I'd love to, some of the stuff like what we had today, so people can say, oh, that's how they do it, or that's how they do it. And so I think I'm going to try and find, let's see, did I put that up there? I want to put a link to that form, and I'll put that form also on the website.
Yeah, and in addition to adding those profiles to the website, we can also use them as content on our social media. We have a Facebook page and as well as a group, and then we can share about the libraries there as well, so then people can, see it and be inspired by it, and learn more about seed libraries.
Yeah. Okay, I put the link to the form in the, but yeah, we didn't get a lot of traction with this before. I'm just hoping now with our, renewed interest that people will, because I think more than anything, when people are starting a new seed library, a lot of people just don't know where to start. Some people, their director says, I've heard about seed libraries. You start a seed library, and they're like, what? And so it can be kind of daunting, especially if someone doesn't have a gardening background or a seed saving background or any of those things. So, but you sure can learn, and and that's what we're trying to do on the website is be a conduit, I guess, to learning some of this information to make it a little bit easier than it was back in the day when there were 3 libraries in the whole country. And so, and then like Ben said earlier, put your seed library on the seed library map. I'm going to wait a couple of days, see if we get any more submissions. And I know that the native seed libraries, Brooke just sent me all of those to put in, and those will be up there soon too. And remember that you don't have to be a public library to be a seed library. And because we want everybody to be included. So the last thing we have is, we hope this will be of interest to you. Ben and I were fortunate enough to attend the National Heirloom Expo in Ventura, California, about a month ago. And I'm going to get this up here. And we thought maybe you'd like to see a little peek into it. Okay, just gotta, me, I'm not real fast at this. I'm getting there. All right. So who's this guy? This is Bevan. He's our fearless leader, and he was a speaker at the expo, and he actually talked this year about tomatoes. He's always talking about something, but this year was tomatoes. And but the Heirloom Expo, if you're not familiar with it, it was an annual thing for quite a few years until COVID. And so the last time we were there was 2019. And then this was 2023 was the first year that they were back at it. And it was relocated from Santa Rosa, California down to Ventura. And I don't know, I guess, Ben, that was a pretty good move. The place, there was a lot of people there.
It was packed. I
was
was just recently down at the Baker Creek headquarters down in Missouri, and I was talking to Jared about it, and they're thinking about doing it there again. The community really responded so well to it that, and it was a beautiful place. The fairgrounds was right on the ocean. It was awesome. It was a really, really cool place to have the event.
Yeah, and the hotel we were at was right on the ocean too. It was pretty amazing. Now Ben and I weren't there together. I guess
Different rooms.
does that even have to be said? But I just realized what I said was kind of weird. So, so this was some of the artwork. And as Ben mentioned earlier, the seed swap that they started doing there was in the past years. It was well attended, but nothing like the sea of humanity that came when they went to Ventura. So I do think it, was a good move. I feel sorry for the people up in the northern part of California who, wasn't as close for them, but boy, oh boy, Ventura and Southern California really, really welcomed the expo. And yeah. So this is I snapped a few pictures. It was a fairgrounds. So it had several massive buildings. Is this the biggest building that we were in for the?
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's the big one. And so when we walked in that morning, Ben hadn't gotten there yet. He was spared some of this, but a friend of mine, Karen Golden, who some of you I think might have had as a speaker at their library. She and I are friends, and we went out there early to work for helping set up. So, when we walked in there was nothing. And then slowly but surely they brought in these huge bins of squash and melons. That's the first thing. And then the tables started to go up and the tablecloths went on. And I just snapped a couple of pictures of these amazing squash that come from the Durst organic growers. And as you can see, after a while, loading them all onto the tables, and then as the people are coming in, they're going through and looking at them all. They're not for sale until the very end of the expo. But people can get a look at them. They're all labeled. So if they're all things. Baker Creek is probably they're the prevailing force behind this expo, but there are other seed libraries that were there too, or not seed libraries, seed companies in the vendor area. And these were the tables where the tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, the smaller things were all laid out and labeled so people could get a look at them. And you can kind of see over in the corner the seed swap area. Baker Creek is known at their expo for their squash tower. This year they had to do it outdoors. There's a lot of regulations having to do with hay bales in California because of the fire danger. So, and I think, wasn't that the primary reason, Ben, why they had to do it outdoors?
That was exactly why. Yeah. Yep.
And
no straw indoors.
And they had to bring a lot, those big cartons of squash that came that were shipped there. they didn't have as many, apparently the cost of transporting those squash has become really, really huge. So the seed tower wasn't as big as before. And of course, weather, we had to think about that. So the upper left-hand corner is this beginning, as they're starting to fill in the tower. And the right-hand picture is Joseph Lofthouse. If you're into seed saving, you may have heard of him, but he scampered up there and was people basically lobbing squash up at him, and he was putting them into place. And I think we have a picture later on of it totally done, but it's getting to be pretty much done there. And then in the lower left is I think this was a first for me. I'd never seen the squash maze before, but I think the kids liked going through that. And so part of the getting ready for the seed swap was painting lots and lots of, or not just the seed swap, but the whole thing where we had lots of signs to paint. And Karen and I got sort of sucked into that abyss for a couple of days, but it was all worth it. It's great. We got to tell people where to go. So then Ben and Heather arrived, and Heather is Ben's lovely wife. And back on the top picture toward the back, Heather painted those big seed swap signs on tablecloth material, and we got them hung up there with some guy brought in a lift. And so those covered tables there, Heather and I got them set up mostly. And, those in the lower left, there's Baker Creek gave us like 3 boxes full of seeds, bagged seeds that we were able to set out for people to just take. They're very generous that way. And the middle picture on the bottom is, I just thought that was cute. Somebody brought those in. It says sunflower seeds. I forgot the name. Surprise. And sometimes we get things donated like that in our seed libraries too. And as long as you're just honest on the seed packet, just say sunflower, unknown variety. And then on the lower right is some more donated things from Baker Creek. So we just kind of set them out like that and let people Baker Creek supplied boxes and boxes of envelopes too, empty envelopes. And so we had Sharpies and seed packets out there for people to fill.
We went through 15,000 of those envelopes that day.
Well, yeah, and that's it was a mob scene. You can see those pictures there. I think the seed swap was going on from 3 to 6 for all 3 days of the expo. And I guess judging by past seed swaps at the expo, we were totally blown away by the amount of people that swarmed the seed swap. It was a massive amount of humanity. Boy, they were excited. And this poor guy in the upper left-hand corner, I just had to take a picture of him. We had tables there for people to set up when they, if they wanted to bring their own seeds to swap. And there was nowhere for this poor guy. So he basically just went in a corner and set his stuff on the ground. And by the time I found him, all the good stuff was gone. But I think Ben snagged something from him that was pretty cool.
I got a variegated horseradish, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
I was very jealous. You and your cowpeas too.
Oh yeah.
Ben kept going, look what I got. And I'm like, ah.
It was so cool because, it's something like this. There's obviously a lot of people that don't have seeds that just come to get some seeds, but there were so many people that brought seeds to share. I couldn't even believe it. It was unreal how many people showed up.
Yeah.
With their seeds.
We weren't prepared for it the first day, but I think by the second day, there was a method figured out to kind of control how fast the people came in. They kind of had to stand in line a little more. They couldn't just mob the place, but we never had that happen before. So we were just not prepared for it. So other shots of the table while people, and the middle picture is Tiffany Bowers. She came all the way from, she live in Maryland.
Maryland, yep.
Maryland. She came all the way from Maryland for the swap, or she flew in, but again, the seed saving community is a lot of them are friends. So, it's kind of she's friends with a lot of us. So it's kind of an old home week too for some people. But, and then the right hand picture is the aftermath.
Yeah, look at that.
Of the first day. And fortunately, we had the forethought to not put out all the seeds. So it was just a matter of cleaning it up and setting it up. And then, like I said, that we got our legs under us for the second and third days. It wasn't quite so. I had Heather in there. Did I not see her? I had.
Yeah, I don't see her.
Oh, maybe it's in another. So again, here's some seed saving celebrities. In the upper left hand corner is on the far left is Jared Gettle. He's the owner of, he and his family, they own Baker Creek Seeds, and they have made themselves quite an empire, I'm telling you. And that's Stephen McComber.
Yep.
McComber. He's also, his Native American name is Silver Bear, and he speaks a lot around the country on Native American issues and seeds and seed saving. And he's been at it for a while. And one story I have personally with him is that he single-handedly saved the seed variety, the Mohawk red bread corn, because they had people didn't want the Native Americans and went to grow their own seeds and to, they were getting squashed out, and basically they were tilling up his fields, and he managed to grab some ears of that and get away with them basically, and and every that's how that variety of corn exists to this day. And of course there's Ben, and who's the lady next to you? I'm not familiar with.
That is Bridget Pina. She's the owner of the San Diego Seed Company.
Okay. Yeah, I know the company. I just didn't know who she was. And then on the right, that's me, and we can't remember his name. But if you are on Instagram or look at the reels on Facebook for Baker Creek Seeds, he makes a lot of short videos, and he's just as, when you see him on those videos, that's him. That's just, he's very genuine. He and his wife have lived she's from the Sudan, and they've lived there for probably the last 18 years, and they've just come back. That's the story I gleaned from what he was saying, but he's back, at least working for Baker Creek Farms right now, but they still do a mission, and trying to help back in the Sudan. On the bottom picture, that's Karen Golden. As I said, she's on our seed presenter spreadsheet. She will travel to do presentations at your library. That's Joe Jackson. He's I guess help me, Ben. What's his company?
Comfort Farms.
Comfort Farms, yeah. Which is basically a farm that was set up to help vets that are struggling to, in life, and they can come to Comfort Farm, kind of rest, learn, work on the farm, and just kind of get their legs under them as far as, getting back on their feet if they're struggling. And that's me and Stephen McComber again. Stephen McComber will take a picture with anybody, anytime.
He loves taking pictures.
He loves taking pictures. But they all do important work. The left-hand picture is they always have fruit carvers there, and so they they take the watermelons and gourds and carve them. Very beautiful work. I mean, I can't believe what they do. It's just amazing. And the right-hand picture is the Baker Creek. I hesitate to call it a booth. It's not really a booth. It's an area that they had set up to sell their seeds on these tables. They brought 35,000 seed packets with them, and they were all sold the first day. Karen and I had a booth across the aisle from them, so we got a firsthand view of this all day long. Just the mob scene, the line to check out at their checkout was, counter was out the door, that whole length of that huge building and out the back door. They were selling everything for $2 a packet. And that's a bargain. And it was mostly their 2023 seeds, but my gosh, the people were so eager. So yeah, Ventura was very welcoming to the
Yeah,
expo.
they were into it for sure.
Yeah. I know I had a picture of Heather in here.
Well, she was in the background. There she is right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, there she is, up in
There
the
she is.
upper right-hand corner. And she was instrumental in getting that seed swap going, because the first day when we were mobbed, Ben just happened to be doing his presentation in the lecture hall. And so I popped over there to help. And it was just, I couldn't even get to Heather. There were so many people. I finally got over there and snapped this picture, and she put on a brave smile for me. But she did a great job. Yeah. What would we have done without her?
I ask myself that every day.
Yeah, I bet you do. Pretty special. So, all right. Well, I think that's all I've got. Yeah, when you go to these things, you see all the Baker Creek people, a lot of their employees that are in the catalog. You'll see them just wandering around, just like real life people. And but yeah, well, thank you, Patty. We were hoping you guys would be interested. It's a lot of fun, and we realize not everybody can hoof it out to California to this, so we thought we'd bring a little of it to you, and hope you enjoyed it. So, do you have any closing remarks, Ben?
Well, I would like to thank everybody for sticking with us through the last 2.5 hours. And thanks to all of the folks that shared their stories about their seed libraries. That was really, really neat. I love to get to see more about the different seed libraries and the different ways that you guys are very cleverly and creatively sharing seeds with people. So I really appreciate you guys sharing that. I'm so happy that you guys joined us today. It was very cool. I love being able to get together like this. We're going to obviously set a date for next year as well. But in the meantime, remember, I gave you the date already for the seed swap, February 24th, and you should definitely try to come out and hang out with us, because it's going to be a seedy good time.
Definitely
sure.
come to that, because and when if you do make it there, and come up and introduce yourself, say where you're from, because this last year I met quite a few people that I'd only seen in online, so, or an email. So it's a really great chance to get together with everybody and come to a great seed swap. You will not leave empty-handed. Even if you come empty-handed, you won't leave that way.
You're not allowed to leave empty-handed.
No. And you might find some cool things for your seed library, because there's a free seed table, and there's like I said, some people are just giving away seeds, and so and seed savers and seed swappers are usually pretty generous. So if you say, well, if you say, well, I have a seed library, but we're having trouble getting stuff, and I'm sure somebody will help you find some. We're sorry that we can't do more of that through Michigan Seed Library Network. We get a lot of requests for seeds, and that just isn't, at least at this point, we don't have that ability to provide seeds for people, but we hope to help. And on our resources page, we do have some ideas of where to ask for seeds, but please, when you ask for seeds from a seed company, just keep in mind that the last few years they've been inundated with requests, and some of them have had to change the way they do seed donations. Some of them have can't do it at all. They just don't have the manpower. Some have had to ask for, at least shipping, and that shipping can can amount to a lot sometimes, and so we do the best we can. We hope that if you have a little bit of a budget, and then you can always supplement your seed library with purchase seed. And I tend to do that with things that people really like, but we seldom get donated, like carrots, celery. There's a few things that I don't think we've ever received a carrot donation. So, but they're an important vegetable and they're sought after by people. So, it's, if you can afford it and you can buy from some of the true leaf seeds, it has really good prices, especially if you're buying more than just a packet. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, but I do shop around a lot, and I've found that they're pretty good. And of course, there's the Small House Farm Seed Company, but it has been in Heather's company. So you can always go to smallhousefarm.com and see what they have.
We just started listing all new tomatoes and beans from our gardens. As we're cleaning them, they're going on the website. So we got some brand new stuff on there.
Yeah, this is a busy time of year. People think that nothing happens in October, but they're wrong. If you're a seed saver, it's a busy time of year.
Yeah, I saw Hannah here in the comments mention that she's been cleaning zinnia seeds this whole time,
Yeah.
multitasking.
Multitasking.
You got to do it, right?
Yeah, I watch TV in the evening. I think my husband thinks that it's just the 20 year round thing with me, because I'm constantly packaging seeds at home. So. But it's a great way to multitask.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you spending the time with us again today. It's really been really nice to hear from everybody.
And as soon as I can, I'll get the recording online and send an email out to all of you to let you know with a link to it. And so everybody who couldn't attend can definitely do that. So watch that. All right. Thank you very much. We're getting out a little early. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.